Recording. Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack, and we also have.
Calvin Ellis ready to rock.
Now you guys heard the news on the first look at Naomi, that premiere character from the DC universe that just hit with a big splash at DC that everyone somehow fell in love with. Look at Batman and Superman, they're just in awe of this character, created by Brian Michael Bendis, also known as the Great One, and artist, I guess it's David Walker.
He's really setting this one up.
And then we have Ava DuVernay. She's writing, executive producing. They took the money from the new guys and just slid it over. We have her coming out. And the Spinner Rack just has to ask, why her? Why not some other character of other person of color in the DC universe? Give them their own show. Why do we always get these Johnny come latelys to get get these shows? Why is all the Bendis' stuff? I know that he's a big name, but it's like we have. I mean, obviously, I can't fault them doing another Spider-Man with a cool thing and this, that, and the other. Miles Morales. I fought it as long as I could, and ultimately, it's a success. Yes, Jessica Jones. We can see how that kind of ran out of steam. Now we have Naomi, and I'm like, come on, this is I don't know. I started off so positive, I tried, but let's go to the first. But before we go to the first looks and stuff like that from Screen Rant, Cal, give it to him.
Well, Mars isn't here, and he says that when we discussed this before, we said that this type of stuff was garbage, and since he's not here, he can't stop me from saying it again. This is garbage. That's pretty much where we're at. No, in all fairness, if you wanted to use, did you know there's a Black Power Girl in the DC universe?
What, there is?
Yeah. When they did the New 52, there was Earth 2, and on Earth 2 there was a Power Girl, and this Power Girl was actually black. I have her first appearance. I'm just sitting on it. So yeah, that character is like, okay, fine. If you wanted to do something, you got a character right there, female, black. You can go and put her up. Why is, again, it's the same reason. Why is this character, who has absolutely no development whatsoever, okay, coming up? And then if you said, well, we want something a little bit more tabula rasa, we want more of a blank, blank slate that we can work with. Okay, well, you got the Power Girl character right here. She's already, she's there. Why don't we do that? Oh, well, we don't know her as well as we know Naomi. Okay, so you want a blank slate with a little writing on it? Is that what you're saying? It makes no sense. And that's the issue that you have. This character is getting promoted strictly because Brian Michael Bendis created this character. That's it. And that's not right.
Yeah. And ultimately, I don't want to just immediately go to, this week. I mean, Vixen, who has had many series and mini-series at DC, would be one to go to. But then you don't always have to be, a black character. You could always do the Fire and Ice. They already have a great dynamic of sort of someone who's kind of pulled back, where Fire's character is a little more pronounced, and it's a different sort of fire dynamic where she's actually flame, where she's she's not she actually transforms. But I mean, obviously that may cost them some money. But that said, let's just quickly go through these picks that they have.
Here's the one you could have done. You could have done Katana.
Oh my gosh, every time, like, you could get her right, you could do something really cool with her. But yeah, that's a character that has a history, strong sort of her characterizations are very strong. Her plight and her sort of struggles was always fun, and it's sad to see that character that you've seen isn't going anywhere. But we got DuVernay in there, and she's writing and exec producing. I mean, she's controlling everything. We got this, she's a little decent actress coming in there, and well, I mean, what can you say that she's reminiscent of her? I mean, just like you're looking at someone with braids, so it's not really. They just found someone that's close enough, which is fine. There's nothing necessarily I could say wrong about. Was it Casey Waffle? Waffle? Waffle. That's it.
I don't
And
know. That kind of sounds like awful.
It's, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. But it's obviously it's prime stuff for the CW school dynamic. It's everything that you think you want, which is everything that they've done many times over. But they have all the sets. They just have to redesign them a little bit. But I just say I understand. No, I don't understand, and I feel like it's. I'm gonna go very opinion. I'm gonna go opinion based. I don't have any facts as far as what Bendis's deal is, but I know Marvel had a 4% deal, and I'm thinking as he got a little more power, I don't think he was thinking like Rob Liefeld. I was thinking he was turning to Marvel and saying, if you guys do something with these characters, can I participate a little more? And I think he's getting a little more. So it's just like if he went from Marvel to DC and he's creating characters, which is like, that's a hard thing to do because you're not necessarily owning it, but he's freely creating it and he's not running around like Liefeld saying that 4% is good for me. He's keeping tight-lipped about it. So they've been giving him credits at the Marvel thing, giving him sort of producers type credits in these Marvel pieces. So I mean, like, do we need
He's created a few characters since he's been at DC.
that's the crazy thing. It's just like ultimately, I really feel that it's not just the creative percentage that everybody gets. I think, to get them, I mean, would anyone with power would do it. If I was the great one, as they call me, I would say, hey, I want to give you a whole slew of characters, but can you sweeten the deal? And many artists have said that. Many artists have said, hey, can I participate? And, some of them I think some of them they've said no, but on the re-release we can add bonuses. I think that was when the Silver Surfer one shot came out, and Byrne asked about that, and they said we can give you bonus if it sales blow up, which of course it didn't blow up, so that didn't happen. But then of course you also had Neil Adams who was like, hey, I want to do this X-Men graphic novel, but I don't want to do work for hire. Can we come up with some other deal? And they're like, yeah, we can look into it. Don't worry. No, we can't do it. And then we got the God loves, man kills that everyone knew. But it wasn't like a back and forth war. It wasn't until like years later that Neil Adams did just say, he just said to them, I just don't feel right signing it. He didn't make a big stink about it. And he didn't, when Marvel went the other way, he just said, he did kind of, when he finally showed those pages in the late 90s, I was like, oh my God. I heard Terry Austin talk about those pages, and to finally see them, he was like, wow. And he was doing very straightforward stuff, similar to what you saw in what's that thing in Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Not really his wacky sort of layouts that he liked to do. So it was just it was really interesting to see if that had came out. All of the 80s people would have known him. But that said, it seems like I'm just saying opinion that, and I'm not faulting him for it, but I am faulting the DC and the Marvel guys are just going to the Bendis well and saying, what do people like recently? And I think because I was arguing with Mars about this, and he was saying, hey, this is success, why not do it? And I went to something I'm a fan of, and I was like, what if it's 1985, right? It's 1985. You have you have Alpha Flight. That's a top 10 book. The first issue sold like 600,000. Should the Alpha Flight get a series before the Avengers? And he obviously didn't want that. I was like, this is the only way I can show you that this is Johnny Come Lately. You don't want the Johnny Come Latelys that kind of using bits that we've seen, but or going like the Alpha Flight, going a different way from the Avengers, saying why shouldn't we get the Fantastic Four, or I mean, because the Fantastic Four at that point was selling a little more than Alpha Flight, but that issue sold more than I think X-Men and Alpha Flight for that first issue. So it's like those. I don't want the Johnny Come Lately, even if I'm a fan, to immediately become the books that they put out. I want the ones that had the historical runs that have been there since the early part, like the Iron Mans, the Thors, characters you didn't know that were going to be big, to make them into the character. At the point when they made Iron Man and Thor, even Captain America, those weren't the big sellers. They were the broken pieces that they couldn't sell to anybody to keep the company afloat, and they got successes. Now they're like, oh, now we got success. Oh, Jessica Jones. We got movie success. Okay, Naomi, what's hot? What's hot? Like that sort of thing. Even if they kind of utilize the Ultimates framework with the Avengers, they did go back to the real early stories. They just looked at the Ultimates and saying, "Hey, we can update this the way we want. We can change Tony's character with Robert Downey Jr., that sort of thing." And not to say I want too many changes, but at the same time, go back to the well and see what you have, because they have so much stuff at DC and Marvel, and stuff that you can do instead of just going to these Johnny come latelys and these characters that are hot now. That if Bendis leaves, it's like it's the hard thing of these great things that you like. Say, I'm not saying to me it's not great, but for these fans that think they're great, it just shoots down into the gut. It just like it just falls down, and there's no one that can pick up that same steam. And you can steam, and you can do that same with Tom Strong, any of these other characters that came late, and you like them, and you like this period, and you like the creator. But then without the creator, you're kind of like, oh, here's Jessica Jones showing up again. Oh, the baby, like the baby and Jessica Jones, she's hanging out with the Avengers. And it's just like not sustaining its own self outside of the character. Whereas Stan Lee has worked on this, that, on Iron Man, and then you have everyone and his mother working on it, and the character still being published. And that's what you have to remember, rather than just say, hey, this is hot, you know?
Oh no, I didn't even think she was hot. I have no idea. I'm listening to everything that you said. I'm like, I still doesn't make any sense why she's getting this show. I could understand if it was reverse engineered, where this was a show that was made for TV first, and then we get the comic. But this is like, okay, we got the comic. This character hasn't done anything. Now, mind you, I can only go so far with that, because there's a ton of Marvel characters that haven't done a damn thing. They're getting TV series, but at least they've been spread out through the universe, somewhat. But I mean, you have to really think about. You have a character like Captain America that has done all over the place in comics, so much development, and they had the hardest time just getting a TV series, for Captain America at the end of the day. And then, same thing. When Marvel goes bankrupt, they're like, okay, well, can we sell your Cap? No, you keep him. You keep him. There's nothing going on with that character. And it took so long before finally you get him, you get him to the point where he gets, his feature. He actually turns out to be one of the better developed characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But that's a long period of time. And then you look at this character who had a 6-issue limited series and then some appearances here and there, and they got a TV show. You're like, well, I don't understand. What does this character bring to the table that's different than any of these other characters that have the development that you would think that you can make the series on? You look at a character like the Flash in the television series. Even if you don't like where the series is going or the storylines, they still have a bunch of stuff to support it in terms of characters and other storylines that they could mine, and they could mine successfully. Here, she's going to have more development on the TV show than in the comic. So you really have the decision making and how it is that, well, why does this character get the green light? Again, I would have probably preferred more if they had done something like Power Girl, because with Power Girl, you automatically can bring in some other characters easily. You can bring in some other characters, and there's some stuff that you can do with her. This, it really, it just really looks like, okay, well, you know what? This is a Bendis character, so we got to do it.
So, we actually, I'd say we didn't trash it that much. We could have gone a lot worse, but
and still can.
Well, obviously, at some point we had to look at this series. I haven't, outside of Arrow and some of the Flashes, I haven't been able. And I have watched Black Lightning. That's the thing. Oh, since we even scratch all of that, we have Blackbird or Thunder and Lightning. Put those ladies in the show. You got those ladies. They're young. You have the first COVID hero in Blackbird. Put the superhero ready. Blackbird is superhero ready. Get it done.
But they actually, I don't know if you heard, but they actually the cat who plays Painkiller, he's getting his own series.
Oh yeah, okay.
That actually, I'm looking because they had one episode, and you can tell that's the pilot episode. even though that was the pilot episode. But he's already got greenlit for his series, so they're just trying to establish, okay, this is what he's going to be doing. These are the characters he's going to be interacting with, so on and so forth. But I was looking at it and I was like, you know what? This may actually be good. This looks like standard, almost like a standard 80s show where it was like the guy, he had a couple, what was that show with Lorenzo Lamas, Renegade? Where it was
Okay.
like, okay,
Yeah.
he's got all this stuff to do. And then every once in a while he would meet with this one guy, and this is the guy who would hook him up doing this type of stuff. And then it'd be like one female character, and that's it. That was like the whole show. So it didn't, and it worked. And I think they got 4 seasons of that dynamic. They got 4 seasons out of that at the end of the day. So it's similar to that, where it looks like it's going to be like a 3-person dynamic, and they're just going to run with it. But even then, this guy had what, 3 seasons on Black Lightning to get that development. So the same thing still, as the thing still resonates. Why are you getting this light? Eh,
Yeah.
it might. Well, yeah, I don't know.
It's like he. I mean, it's. I mean, I don't know. That's with you saying that. It's just going back through even Marvel and DC and saying you want these, you know, you want these diverse characters, and you're like, oh, like these guys have finally did it, and it's like, no, we can't. We can't go. I mean, going. It's easier for me for Marvel because saying like the Sons of the Tiger or La Bandera. The idea that even like Wesley Snipes is like, hey, this Blade character, this is something we can develop and really kind of pull out and make into a movie. And then after Blade, they're still like, no, 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 we gotta find something that was at least like a hit book. Like we can't just be digging and make like you have Blade, and it's just like nobody, what Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan aren't running around like saying, how did they ruin my character? They're like, wow, that's cool. Like it's updated and needs some of these characters. That's why I think kind of fall to like Ghost Rider, where you could update the look, like have him really look like a young sort of character, because that's what because Johnny Blaze is a timeless sort of character where you can kind of work, where you update his current to whatever is the biker of today, and then go into him becoming the Ghost Rider, because that's always going to work visually. But then they're like, you know what? No, now we got to get a Nick Cage. It's like, oh, that's not the. It's like Paul Walker is like the what was it, the possibly the 2000s Johnny Blaze type of character. Whereas I think in the 90s you had to find someone young with really long hair, that sort of say. Whereas in the 70s he's kind of a William Katz kind of like perm kind of fro type of character. So, one of those things. Whereas, but I really wish they would kind of dig through the DC universe, and we're finding them digging through it and doing other stuff in animation like Commandy and stuff like that. I just wish they would kind of dig a little more and find these characters and say, hey,
I'm waiting for I'm waiting for the Moana Beast uh, feature. Can I get that? Can I get Moana Beast?
they had fun with him on the cartoon. Yeah.
Yeah, the
So it's like,
cartoon. I think those guys understood that after a while, in order for them to keep doing it and keep it fresh for themselves and play, that they had to dig and like, okay, what's some characters we can bring in here? Oh, I think they wanted a couple of things. They wanted some characters that would be good supporting characters who could like maybe hold a feature every so often, but were also fresh enough where they could play around with the character. Where they're like, okay, I can bring in Moana Beast and I can have him do all this stuff over here where I couldn't necessarily do it with Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman. So, but you got to see, they did they brought in Moana Beast, they brought in Vigilante, the actual one who rode a horse. They brought in Shining Knight. They brought in all these guys that again, you would never think that you would see. You would always think it's like, okay, it'd have to be somebody who was actually on the Justice League or not. They were like, they brought in all these characters and gave them a whole bunch of light at the end of the day. And you're like, wow, really works well. But that was this big ensemble piece at the end of the day. And so that's one of the reasons why it worked well. If they had decided, well, you know what? We're going to come over here and we're going to give Vigilante his own series. I'm like, okay. I was like, why? Are Westerns hot? why is he getting his own series? Him being on the show with some other people, cool. But no, I don't get to make these decisions. I don't make millions of dollars, so I don't get to blow millions of dollars.
Yeah, and I think you've seen them start to do that with that, and even the Justice League action where they kind of just like, hey, we're gonna do the mainstays, but we're gonna try to bring in some other characters from time to time and have fun with it. Whereas now it's just like, it seems like we have a deal. Like if we do another TV show, we have to do a Bendis show. It's like, no, please, you didn't have to do it. It's like, oh no, this is all in your wheelhouse, and we use all the same sets, just paint it differently, and get this over with and give her a new team. All right, so we've done as much as we can. We kind of trailed off from Naomi. She's that memorable of a character.
No, she's not.
So I thank you guys for watching, and subscribe and complain. Anyone wants to fight us over the great one, we're ready to fight. We won it. Spin the rack.
Out.